1, 2, 3. We're on mute. Hi, everyone, and welcome aboard to the Tabletop Express. We're back on the table, and I am joined by. Well, introduce yourselves, guys. Go ahead.
Hey, I'm Chad.
Hey, I'm Clef.
I'm Richie.
And we are Punchboard Paradise. You guys are supposed to say that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to say it.
Yeah, that's your job.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for joining. Other than doing these board game videos, I'm actually a pretty big fan of listening to you guys. I found out about Punchboard Paradise, I believe, 2 years ago when I was searching for content about PAX Premier Second Edition, and
awesome!
You guys came up. It was a good commute drive back home, and I've been listening to you since.
Thanks. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problem.
We got I think there was an episode there too that we got to have Cole Worley on and talk about some games that we had never heard of too. We were talking about historical games, and I don't know. I think he's a really interesting guy. I love to hear his game theory and his blogs that he puts on BGG about his designs and stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Cole's he's out of this world with some of his stuff, So anyways, we are going to talk about games today. So each of us have brought 2 games to the table that we have been playing recently in July that I just want to talk about. I brought 2 Punchboard Paradise favorites. Well, I think Clef didn't like the first one as much, but that's okay.
He'll get over it. He'll get over it. He's always a little curmudgeonly at first.
But we're going to go in order, alphabetical order. So we'll start with Chad. We'll go to Clef. We'll go to Richie. And then we'll go to me. And then we'll start it up.
Okay.
So, Chad, why don't you tell us about your first game?
So the first game that I brought was Taverns of Tiefenthal, which is a Wolfgang Warsch game, and I started playing it because I had heard a lot of stuff about it, and it's got a deck building element which my family likes. It's a lighter game, but you can kind of fold in these elements to it. But basically, what it is you're making you have your own tavern basically, and you are servicing guests at your tavern. You're having employees work for you, and then you're bringing in guests, as you can see up there, to sit at your table, and that's part of your deck. Basically, you have employees and you have guests in your deck, and so you're basically every round you're going to be building a deck and putting those patrons out as many tables as there are spots for them. And that's another thing you can get is more tables and that sort of thing. And then you're putting out any employees that you can use to kind of bump up your actions. Then you're going to be drafting dice and trying to put those on either guests or employees to get money or extra actions, kind of beer, because you need that as well. And then, like I said, there are different modules. Now, the first time out, I just played with all the modules because I know Clef and some other friends that have played it, they just didn't like the game very much, but I think they played with less of the things. And it's definitely got a lot of chance in it. I mean, you're rolling dice, you're drawing cards from your deck, and so you need to have things to mitigate that. So I felt like with all the 5 expansions added in, you had a lot more choices and ways to mitigate some of the stuff.
Wow. Wait, there's 5 expansions for this already?
Well, I shouldn't say
the modules, right?
Like the little modules that came with the game. But honestly, it feels like if you've ever played a Queen game with sometimes a Queen game. Yeah, it feels like the Queenies that should have been there in the first place. Yeah. I know that he wants to make some of these things really accessible, but without those things, you have no way to mitigate some of the chance. And it just doesn't feel very good when you can't do a whole heck of a lot.
And so, because I've been interested with this game because is it kind of like a sequel to Quacks of Quedlinburg? I mean, it's got like the similar wordplay name title.
Yeah, it's got some of that art. It has a little element of push your luck, but it is the mechanisms feel fairly different. I think one of the things that is an attraction to that game though is at the end you've got something you've built, because the really cool thing, if you see that board, you can upgrade. So you spend a certain amount of money or different ways to do it. You can do it, but you can flip over your board and upgrade some of your employees or parts at your bar.
Yeah.
And it's puzzle pieces that slot together, which looks really slick. And then those things work better for you. So it's kind of like engine building, that you're actually flipping over parts of your bar to do those things. And so at the end, you can kind of tell a story about your own little bar. Like, look, I had this, I souped up my safe, and I got like 4 servers and all this kind of stuff. It's just a fun little way to feel like you're building up your board. And then one of the modules, you get schnapps, and you can give schnapps to performers to do certain things, which can really give you some big boost in actions, and you feel like you can do a lot more up front, which really helps.
Nice. Yeah, I still need to try this game. It's sadly on my shelf of shame at the
well, it's not like I said, it's not a heavy game, but it's a really, like, if somebody has played dice drafting and deck building, they can jump right in. And if you have read the module well enough, if you read the rule book well enough, you can fold the modules right in on the first play.
So we have a comment saying that that's the same resources as Vikings Gone Wild. It's got beer and gold.
That's
pretty cool.
Yeah, that's that's all you need, right?
And Chris Barrow said that he loves the way this game evolves as you play through all the different modules.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely need the modules.
It's
just the base game. It felt very much like Quacks.
Yeah.
Because you're just flipping that deck, and then, if you bust, you bust. But with the modules, I think it definitely expands on the game.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that guest there that you see in the second row, it looks like, I think, like a purple thing. There are people that come at your bar to sit down, and you can get them. And so, like, you can spend one of those guests right away to just totally discard a hand if you got a bad hand that you didn't like. So that's
nice.
that's just one way to mitigate, which is really nice.
I remember playing this a few years ago, but I think we played the very base, all stripped down version of it. And I remember just being like, this is nothing, and I'm not interested in it at all.
Right.
But maybe with those, with those modules or whatever, maybe it makes it a little bit, more of a meaty game.
Yeah.
And have you guys tried the expansion? Scott said that he's interested to see what's in the expansion.
Hey, Scott. Yeah, I am interested to see what's in the expansion as well. I can't remember. I think it's called New something. I can't remember what it's called, but
I'm patrons.
New
Something
patrons,
I saw it when I was looking it up this graphic today.
Yeah, I think it's out in Europe, but just not around here where you can get it.
Well, I definitely do want to try that one for sure. Oh, Open Doors. Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh, thank you.
Open Doors. Yeah.
Yep. There we go.
Okay.
I do want to take. I forgot to mention, by the way. So I know with Punchboard Paradise, you guys are referred to yourself as the Punchboarders, but your listeners are, including myself, the Punch Bunch, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I know we have some Punch Bunch members in the chat. Scott was a Punch Bunch member as well.
Yeah.
I believe Gabriel as well is a Punch Bunch.
Yeah.
And Drew.
And Drew. Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
All right.
So, and soon to be Punch Bunchers that are listening.
There you go. Always future.
Or they could be looking at these guys going, no, these guys are crazy. We're never listening to these guys.
I've never heard them before. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Nice.
All right, so let's go on to our second game. So Clef, you're going to take it away.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you, first of all, this is really a first impression of this game. I've only played it one time, and that is Crescent Moon.
Okay.
For the Punch Bunch certainly knows this about me. I am not a big Root fan, and I know most people are big Root fans.
I'm with you. I'm Team Clef on that. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, that's all I like to hear. I am not a big Root fan, but this particular game, one of my friends, when he kind of read about it, said, hey, this game sounds really interesting, and I think it may kind of fix some of the problems that you don't like about Root. And so he picked it up, and we had a chance to play it. It is definitely an asymmetry game where everybody has kind of a different way to score points that they are doing. It's not quite in the same as the Root where you're trying to score a certain number of points, but it's just based upon I think there was different ways that the game ended, but you're just trying to score, the most points out of it. And every faction has a different way to score. I played the Nomads, which were kind of, they were kind of the person that people could buy stuff from. Like you could buy their discs that were mercenaries to like help them fight and do different things. but I also could do some tricks where I could take people's discs off the board. And it's kind of an area control game is how it really is, how you're scoring the points. If you kind of see how those modular tiles are out there, there's different areas. There's like the Holy Land, which is, certain factions want to control that. There's like more like a quarry that is going to give you more resources, so it might score you more points or more get you more gold. And then there's for like fertile land that also is certain, gets you certain things. And there's two different types of kind of battles that you can have. You can either have like a military type of battle with your mercenaries, or you can have a political battle. And so those are kind of those different shaped tokens that you see out there that are like the blue and the purple that are out there. Those are the political tokens. And so like if you're trying to take over an area politically, you'll have a political battle. And then the game has a whole bunch of cards in it, and you have like a market that you can purchase from and get different cards, and they'll do different things for you. Like maybe give you some bonuses in a fight, whether it be like the military fight or the political fight. And basically on your turn, I should say, you're going to have a whole bunch of different actions that you can take, kind of like a coin game or, like in Root, I guess, where you have these different options and you get to choose one of those options. So it might be build, it might be, attack, it might be buy cards. So you're just choosing those different actions. And I believe it was, that's right, it was 4 rounds. That's how the game ended. It was just straight 4 rounds, and everybody kind of got 4 actions in each, and you would just go, clockwise or whatever, and everybody would get 1 turn and 4 turns for the game. It was a very interesting game. I'm not sure that I loved it after my first play, but I'm definitely intrigued where I want to play it again. And it's that type of game where I'm like, ooh, I really want to try the Nomads again, because I feel like, if I would have done this and this, I think I would have done better. But yet I'm also like, I wanted to try, like there's like the Sultan in it, and like the Sultan just makes tons and tons of money. And then there's like the Warlord one who just goes and attacks everything. And, so it had some really cool factions. However, this game, there's the one negative I will say about this game is the player count literally says 4 to 5 players. However, the designer has simply said, nope, it's a 5-player game. Don't play it with less than 5. That's it. So you certainly have to have for sure at least 4, but probably have 5 to kind of play this game. So that can kind of be a negative, because sometimes that's a hard player count to get to.
Is that because of the balancing?
I think so. I think he just flat, which I respect. I kind of like the fact that he said, hey, this is how to play this game, as opposed to, it's 1 to 8,
right.
And then, you never have a good game.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that, but I'm just saying that could be a negative for people if they're trying to get a group together. So.
Yeah, I've definitely heard the same sentiment, where you need 5 players, especially the Nomad player. Did the other players at the table feel comfortable with their roles, or was there?
Yeah, I think so. I think we were all pretty experienced players. It was all people who for sure had played Root and all had played coin games. So I think everybody, grasped the game. So I think we were all in the same boat. And it was pretty close for the scores at the end of the game. I think I came in dead last, but other than that, it was pretty close with the scores.
So we have some comments. Do you like it better than Root?
Yes, 100%. At least game 1, I liked it better. I didn't feel like there was as much, I don't want to say luck, because I know people will yell at me saying that there's luck in Root, but I just feel like at least I felt I had control of what I was doing. So at least at my first play, I did enjoy it better than Root.
Did it seem like a watered down Dune?
Yeah.
Watered down Dune. Yeah, possibly. Yes. I would say that could be. I certainly will say I like Dune better than this, but once again, I've only played it once, so it's a little bit hard for me to say. But Dune, it feels so epic and just crazy with everything that's going on. This did feel a lot less than that. I don't know if I'd want to say a watered down Dune, but certainly not quite as epic as Dune can be.
Are you encouraged to do like alliance building with each other then?
Yes. There was points where I had to have for me to score points, I needed cities in 3 locations that I was like connected to score points or to score points. And so I had to talk to the Sultan and say to the Sultan, hey, I need you to do this. And then of course, then he was like, okay, well then if you do this for me, I'll do this for you type of thing. So you did a lot of, working together to try to, accomplish your goals. And obviously other people were trying to, counteract those goals that they were trying to do. So yeah.
Nice.
That sounds interesting.
I definitely want to check it out. I mean, Osprey Games, by the way, they publish this and they've been killing it with some of their releases,
Yeah. 100%. So yeah, if you like Root, if you like coin games, I think this is definitely a game that you should give a try to, because I do think it's a good game in that realm. So
all right. I still have a coin game myself, Shelf of Shame. A lot of this is going to be me saying Shelf of Shame.
All right.
More like a therapy session,
Well, you've got a good excuse. A 7-week-old is a good excuse.
Yeah,
you're busy.
I bought a lot of these prior to the 7 weeks, so yeah, that's true. Maybe breaking up. Sorry. All right, so Richie, let's go on to your pick.
All right, so I picked Clinic by Alban VR, currently being published by Capstone Games in the United States here.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah, and this is the deluxe version. I was scared off from this originally because Chad kept trying to get us to play this with the original version that looked like a 2-year-old had put it together. But this new version is beautiful, and in this game you are running a hospital. And the way that it's 6 rounds in the game, and then every round is broken into these different phases. So you have your action phases, and there's only really 3 actions in the game. So you can build, which you're just building these different modules in your hospital, which is one of my favorite parts, because in this game you have to look at it spatially. You have to look at it in 3D, because the way that the board is set up is when you're building these modules, when you build a tile on top, I mean, it's like literally on top, it's touching. You have to think about it in 3D when you're building out these modules, and there's rules on certain modules can't go certain places. Alban makes it very hard to to build your hospital in an efficient way. Then the other action is hire, where you're going to be hiring doctors, nurses, and orderlies. And you need the doctors to treat the patients. The other thing with this game, and you can see it in this picture here, is you have to worry about parking. Every doctor that you get, every nurse that you get, every patient, they come with a car. And you will hate those cars by the end of the game, because wherever you put a car at, you can't put modules for your hospital, and you are restricted. If you play the
is it the burn victim one?
The normal game is
the 4
by
grid
3
or the 3 by 3 grid.
Yeah, if you do the expert game, it's 3 by 3, so you're restricted even further. So that hospital or the parking is just ridiculous. And then the last action is you can admit patients in. And in this game, you want your patients to be near death when you treat them, because after you go through the actions phase, and you're going to go to the business phase, where you are going to start treating patients and you'll get money for them.
And very American.
Yes, quite a cynical view of healthcare there.
Exactly. And I think there's 4 levels of patients. The white patients, they're not really sick. If you treat them, I think you're going to get like $8. The red patients are about to die, and if you treat them, you get $32. Wow. After that, you have to pay your expenses, and then with the money that you have left over that you earn that round, you can buy victory points. And if you don't spend that money in that round to buy the victory points, you'll be able to use that money, for hiring people and different things like that, but you will never be able to use that money to buy victory points again. So you have to do it in that round at that time, which I love that mechanism. The other thing that as far as a pain point, but I mean a good pain point, is that when you are moving people around your hospital, when you get to that business step, every time you move through your hospital, it costs you time, and that time is just going to start racking up. And at the end of the game, there's 2 different tracks. There's the victory point track and then the time track. Wherever you're at on the time track is going to give you negative points. So you want to be as efficient as possible when you're moving your patients through the hospital and treating them. It is just a very good puzzle.
Yeah,
it's one. The other thing I love about this game is there's like 1,000 little modules that you can add in. and they even have like a campaign book which will like group 5 of them together. But it is a fantastic game, and especially if you like those punishing games, it's one that you definitely have to try out.
So what game, like in the analogy format, if I like Clinic, I like Food Chain, like a Splotter, or
Maybe,
I would say
I would
in the
say-
Splotter realm.
I would say too, Alban Viard's designs are a lot like each other. So if you like because really the theme is punishment.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's stress and punishment.
Right.
So if you like any of his Age of Steam maps or the tramways design, or even Small City, which isn't easy to get, I feel like then you'll like if you like an Alban Viard game, you're gonna like Clinic.
Yeah, if you like your hand slapped every time you try to do something, then his designs are great.
Now, I will say the one of the things I love the most about Clinic is that you've got the money and now you've got to buy victory points. So how much do you spend on victory points and how much do you save? There's a game called Princess of Florence. I don't know if you've heard of that one.
Yep.
But it has a similar mechanism.
I'll let you guess where it is right now.
So
On your shelf of shame.
Oh, that's a good
That's
one.
a good game, man. That's
I know.
So definitely, and I like that. I like that tough decision of how much money you're going to spend on victory points. And another thing about this game, and I'll say this is very power grid, player order is so important. And so sometimes when you buy, you might be able to buy more victory points, but you're always maybe trying to stay a couple of points behind the next person. So it puts you higher in turn order for the next round, which can be so important.
Drew over there is asking what you guys' favorite expansion is.
Let Ryan run the show.
Bring it up. Yeah. As I was saying. So have you played it solo? And what are some of your favorite modules for Clinic?
I have played it solo. It works well solo, and I use that to try to just check out some of the different modules. The Burn Victim, I think Chad had talked about that. The Burn Victim module, and I can't remember, it's in the campaign book, but it puts together like 5 modules. But the way that it works is that there's like a little extra board that has helicopters and burn victims on it. And starting in round 4, you're going to have to admit a burn victim. And they come in on a helicopter. The nice thing is that since they came in the helicopter, you don't have to take a car for them.
Yeah.
Burn victims don't drive. That's the best part.
But they have to be treated, and if there's no place for them to be treated, and they have to be treated in a special module that you have to pick up before you get to round 4. And if you don't have that, they die. You lose a bunch of points, and that helicopter, it says something like in the rule book that he goes on a break or something and just doesn't come back.
Yeah, so his helicopter just sits there.
The helicopter just sits there. So you have to have 3 helicopter pads for the last 3 rounds that the burn victims can come in on. It's great. It's just one that you really have to prepare and build up to, and you're angry at people because they're buying the module that you need. It's just great. Yeah, that's probably one of my favorites.
We should add like a mini expansion for that, like a little Stallone mini expansion, like everybody into the chopper.
Stallone or Schwarzenegger?
Oh, sorry, that's Schwarzenegger.
That's Schwarzenegger. I do like the. Should you play with just the base game for your first time playing, or are there any modules that might? Well, are there modules that might improve it? Like, is there a prelude?
No, I would say play base.
Play
game.
the base game. We we taught a couple people with like 5 modules, and that's too much for your first game.
Yeah.
Just play the base game, and then you can expand from there.
It sounds like parody how you described it at some points. Like, I'm like, this is not a real game. This is like, like in like TV shows when they're like the Cones of Dunshire or whatever. Like,
there's Ghost. I know that's a module. There's one where you have dogs that will what am I thinking of? But the dog, they'll poop around the hospital.
You gotta take care of their poop. Yep.
It's great.
There's fire extinguishers, and if somebody goes into a room that has a fire extinguisher, it takes them more time because they have to stop and look at this great technology that's on the wall or something like that because they're so enthralled by it.
There's cigarettes where your doctors are smoking.
So
they're on because they're stressed. It's good.
There's zombies too.
There's
zombies.
There's there's everything. I mean,
this sounds awesome.
Thought of a lot of different things, but it's a top 10 game for me.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh man, and it's on Scott's shelf of shame as well too. So.
Scott.
Well, it's not mine. It's not on mine yet. It's not mine yet.
Like I said, it plays great solo, so it's definitely worth just busting out and checking it out.
True.
All right.
True.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm busting out my game now. So
All
right.
I am going to be talking about Ginkgopolis, which you guys did a review on. So Ginkgopolis, I played when it first came out, actually, a long time ago, but I never finished it. I was over at a friend's house, and we played, and we just I forget what game we switched over to, but we switched over to something else, and I always wanted to try it again. And it's one of those games that was just consistently out of print. You know, it was just forever to find, and then they reprinted it. And I finally got a chance to replay it, and man, I really enjoyed this game. I mean, so Ginkgopolis in this game, it's part area control, part tableau builder, and you're trying to score the most points, and you get points throughout the game, but you also get points for having the most coverage on the board, which, like, you see those black cylinders and the pink cylinders, those represent the player presence on the board. And what's going to go on is throughout the game, you'll be doing one of three actions. You'll either be adding on to that map a different tile, or you'll be building on top of the map. And you'll either be, and by doing that, you'll either be increasing your own presence, because the number of tiles you put on there, the resources, are equal to the tiles that you have on there. But also, what's really cool about it is you could really mess with people, and you could take their dominance across the board, because each region is scored based on what color is in there. So if you have, and it's all orthogonally adjacent. So if you pop in like a red tile onto a yellow tile that now splits off that giant yellow region into two smaller ones, you just did a lot of damage. And I like games where you could do a lot of damage. It's very interactive, but at the same time, you have to kind of work with what you get, because you get a hand of 4 cards. You got to pick one as to what action you're going to do. And what's even more of a brain burner is that after you decide what you're going to do, you hand over the rest of your cards in draft style to the player to your left. And you want to make sure what you're passing over is not going to mess with you either. So it's this balance of, do I make sure this person doesn't get this, or do I make sure I try to go for something I want to go for? 9 times out of 10, I usually go for what I want to go for, and I've yet to win. But man, this game, it's pretty simple too. And so when you guys talked about in your podcast, you did talk about how approachable it was, how simple the rules can be, but there is still a fair amount of replayability, I think. I at least I find, you know. But
I agree, because it plays so quick too. Once you understand it, it can be pretty snappy, I feel like.
Yeah. It's very snappy for sure. And especially if you're playing with like people that just know what they're doing, you could really just bang it out and just be done and play again if you wanted to. Like, it's one of those games where you can just play again and see where it's gonna go.
It's got a lot of player interaction, like you said. I mean, you definitely can see what somebody's trying to do, and you can try to block them. And, you know, sometimes you can't get the right cards. It's one of the frustrating things. I feel like there's those little draw extra card tokens or whatever that I feel like I use every single time I play this, because I'm trying to look for the perfect card to, you know, to screw somebody or whatever. But and it's I recently just picked up the expansion for it, because the expansion came out.
Yeah, they just reprinted
the experts, right?
Yeah. I have yet to play it. One of those I kind of got.
It's modular, right?
Yeah, it's modular.
Yeah, I definitely want to try the expansion for sure. Because when I listened to your review the other day, you guys mentioned that the expansion wasn't out at that point, but you would revisit, and here we are. You're getting it again. You're going to revisit.
Yes, exactly. We need to play it.
Brian Larson is saying that Ginkgopolis is great, and that he really enjoys how it ramps up towards the end of player interaction, and always seems to come down to 1 or 2 final moves.
Yeah.
The other thing that ramps up too is when you know, because you have that tableau of cards too. So when you start, it kind of builds, and then you feel really good when you take certain actions, because you get to do a bunch of stuff with it.
Yeah, I forgot all about that tableau, because you're right. Because as soon as you play those cards where you overbuild, those cards are permanently in your tableau, and they give you bonuses for what actions you do, and later on they'll give you additional victory points for what you've actually achieved. And I like that balance for sure is really solid.
And I like the you can play where when you start the game off with, you actually get to draft your starting hand of tableau, and I like that as opposed to just the set ones that they give you.
And the experts comes with more, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's nice because it's kind of like you're saying, okay, I'm gonna focus on this out of the gate to start with. I'm gonna get really powerful at this thing, and then go from there.
Yeah. The one thing I noticed though, so there's 3 actions, right? There's urbanize where you're building on top, right? Or no, sorry, that's when you're spreading out. You construct when you build on top, whatever. I don't remember. Yeah, but the third action is called exploit, and that's just you discard a card and you get a resource. And I don't see much of an engine build there. I mean, there's cards where you could do that, but I don't see any. I don't know if there's a winning strategy in there for focusing on the exploit. Where you're just kind of trashing cards and getting resources from them and stuff.
No, I always feel bad when I have to do that. Unless your tableau is really big into that, but even then, you're still not doing anything to kind of help yourself out on the board. So yeah, that's always kind of the last ditch effort for me.
Yeah, because most of the points seem like they come from the board itself. So if you're not on that board, then
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
But this is a cool transition because Chad's going to talk about a game by the same designer.
That's right.
Javier George. So go ahead.
So he also designed Carnegie, which we just actually got done recording a review that's going to come out in a couple weeks on this game. So this was kind of our focused review, and so I thought now is a good time to talk about it, especially since you brought up the Gink. So Carnegie is basically it's a game that is most points win. It plays 1 to 4, and you are basically kind of a mogul, as he was playing through his life, trying to build up transportation networks and build buildings and make donations and have the most points at the end of the game. It is fueled by an action selection mechanism where each player gets to focus each turn on taking one of 4 actions, I believe it is. Is it 4 or 5? 4. 4 actions. And you are basically getting to choose an action and then the region that an event happens in that action, and everybody else follows. So the interesting interplay there with that mechanism is that I'm looking around the board usually and trying to see what's going to benefit me the most and the other players the least. And so some of the actions that you are taking are like human resources. You have a company board where you're moving people around into different buildings to pilot those different buildings that correspond to other actions on the selection board. You can also do management action, which is basically kind of sending people out on missions onto the board so that you can do different things, or you can build buildings. So you get to draft a building, and you have these supply cubes where you're getting to put it on your company board. The other action, I think, is R&D, or research and development, where you're taking discs off. You can see that player board there. There's these little sticks that slide out.
Yeah.
And by the way, really well produced game, very, very slick. And I think they did a lot of work on it up front because it's just really nice. The Kickstarter comes with some really nice game trays too. But you slide your stick out of the board there, and then you have a disc on there. And then those discs correspond to another action, which is your construction action. And you're putting those out on the board into different regions where you're trying to build your network. But your research and development pulls those sticks out, or it can move you up what we call the transportation tracks out there on the board as well. And those are basically like when you send your guys out on missions with management, or the agents out, you have the option later on when an event scores in a certain region to pull them back. And then you are getting income from wherever your disc is at on the transportation track in that region. And then whatever discs have been, whatever spots have been uncovered on those sticks on your player board where the discs have come off. So you're really trying to time things so that you can always benefit from whatever somebody else is going to do. And then, of course, that's the tactical part, of course, and then you are trying to have a long-term strategy of what you're focused on. A good part of the scoring usually happens at the end of the game. Those donations, by the way, are another event that happens at the top of the board, and that's just you choosing where to put discs based on what you're trying to do for end game points. So it's kind of like end game objectives. But yeah, it's we've talked about it. It's a really nice mix of strategy and tactics, where you're trying to look out at the board at the beginning and form a strategy, but then really having to go with what other people are doing around the board.
Yeah, it's this game in particular too. I've played it a bunch, but I never played it in person. I'm still waiting for my Kickstarter copy to arrive. But
Okay.
I played it online, and
Yeah.
I know with it being on Board Game Arena, they made changes as the game came out, because when it went on Kickstarter, they put it immediately on Board Game Arena for people to play. And they took some of that data and actually applied it back to the game before they produced it, which
very cool.
Smart.
Yeah,
they
it's really
start like
smart.
rebalancing some things. I don't know if the industry is going to go that way, where they're going to keep rebalancing based on like online plays of people, but I think that's I mean, it seems to show.
Yeah, it's a great resource, it's for sure. And what the finished copy that we received seems like a very well balanced, smooth machine. I don't know what they changed. I do know that I had heard that, but I don't know what they changed from their sort of BGA beta test. But
I believe it was some of the buildings in particular.
that
Like
would
building
make sense.
combos.
There's a lot of those, and
Yeah, but
the game did really well. So I mean, I think that shows publishers, just because you put a game online doesn't mean it's not going to sell, as the hard copy.
right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think it definitely helped it. I mean, being able to try it out before the Kickstarter was huge. So
yeah, and that, I mean, since COVID happened, like that's like my whole mentality now. Like, if I could try this game before I back it on Kickstarter, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Sure.
Because before that it was like, read the rule book and kind of decipher, or just see a pretty picture, and then
Yeah, that's how I do Kickstarter.
That's how I started.
Yeah, okay, I'm in.
yeah.
When's that episode drop? Because I definitely want to listen to that for sure.
So that'd be 2 weeks from yesterday, basically.
Yeah.
So what would that 13th, 27th?
Okay.
There you go.
I'm
All right.
excited.
Yeah.
That's a good game. All right, I won't ask anymore. I'll wait to hear your full review. I am going to bring it out over to Clef. Clef has his second game up. What happened?
Clef is
He's
pushing buttons.
hitting
Sorry.
buttons for some reason.
Sorry, we're never going to use these buttons. I wanted to know if they did anything.
Oh, this is great, because when I listen to the episodes, I don't get to see you guys, so I don't get to
Yeah.
But now it's great. Now it's just like, okay, Clef's just
We'll
hitting
set his
buttons
clap
again.
All right, I'm done.
Rogue agent.
All
over there.
right.
So go ahead, Clef.
All right. So I am going to talk about a game that I absolutely am in love with, and this is called Triumph and Tragedy. The European balance of power from 1936, 1945. Obviously, just usually call it Triumph and Tragedy.
Yep.
This is for those of you who are familiar with what's called a block war game. Columbia Games is really who are known for these block war games, where they will have certain units on different colored blocks. Usually it's just a 2-player game where you're kind of matching your blocks versus theirs, and you'll have certain number of basically how much firepower when they get a fire, and then how many hits they can take. And so this game, it's a GMT game. It is actually a 3-player block war game that is going to have the Axis powers, and then it's also going to have the Soviets, and then it will have the kind of the British, France, and kind of the the American as the 3rd player. However, it is not just a block war game. It also has a really cool Euro kind of mechanism in it, where you have a certain number of industry points that you are going to be getting each round.
Mm-hmm.
And those industry points you are going to be using to either put new blocks out on the board or make existing blocks stronger. But you're also going to be getting these gosh, and I'm blanking on the names of them, but they're like, the one's action cards and the other one is I can't remember, but it's like you're trying to build up technologies with these other cards that you can use, which also helps you build up your factories. So the first part of every round is everybody getting this industry and deciding what they're going to do to help build up their forces, or whether they're going to get these, and I should say these action cards kind of allow you to put influence into different areas so that you can try to like get the resources out of them. So like if for instance, if I'm the Axis player, I might play a Czechoslovakia card, and then I put an influence token there. And if I control that at the end of the round, then I'm going to get either some benefit, either some points towards my number of people that I can use, or my points towards my industry. And so it's a really cool Euro-y type of game to start with each round. And the really cool part of it is you don't even actually, can you edit that out for me, Richie? Thank you. Okay. You don't even actually have to battle necessarily, especially early in the game. You spend a lot of rounds just kind of building up and doing these different, influence things, and then getting new technologies and stuff like that before you even necessarily have to go to war. And you can win this game in a multitude of ways. Like you can win it by just getting 25 points. You can also win it by capturing 2 capitals of, obviously the opposing superpowers, or you can win it by creating the atomic bomb. So if you create the atomic bomb and you can deliver that to somebody else's city, you automatically win that way too. So it just has a lot of just cool things in it. And the last game I played was it was epic. It was like 7 hours long. Yes, we watched Rambo in the middle of it, but it was unbelievably epic in the fact that it had all the battles and stuff. And I was playing the Axis power, and I almost had London captured. I was 2 pieces away from capturing London, and I would have won the game. And they just barely held out. And then the Americans came in, and then it was all over for me. And then I had to just shrink back to Germany. And then it was just basically the Soviets and the Americans just coming in and just crushing me in Germany. And then they were basically out to see who could win. It was just so realistic on how it actually happened. It was just so cool. And it's just one of the most exciting games I've ever played. And I just can't wait to play it again. Obviously, you got to have 3 players, and it's going to be a while. I mean, it's not 7 hours, but it is definitely a longer game.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely epic and tremendous. So
that sounds actually really exciting. With these block war games too, is this a good entry point into block war games?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily a good entry point. I would say that probably trying some of the 2-player, maybe Columbia ones. Like there's one, oh goodness, what's the Braveheart one called? I can't think of the name of it right now. Gosh, I can't think. But then there's Julius Caesar. There's a couple of them that maybe might be a little bit better because they're just a little more straightforward, and then you don't have all the other stuff in it. Or another suggestion I would have, which is another great GMT block war game, is called Sekigahara. That'd be another one that I would say would be a really good entry point into it. But if you're experienced at all, this is definitely worth jumping into. If you're not, I mean, if you want to jump into it too, I'd still say it's fine. So
that's awesome.
Did you play Axis and Allies ever, like when you were starting out in the hobby?
A long time ago, and I don't remember really enjoying it because I don't know if I really understood it all that well. But I don't know. Because I've been told it's similar to something with some of the parts of Axis and Allies.
Sure.
That's awesome. I have to try. I'll try it out someday. Sekigahara for sure. That one I've seen. I've seen and heard. That's a GMT game as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Was the Braveheart one? Was it Hammer of the Scots?
Yes, Hammer of the Scots. That's what I couldn't think of. That
there's a site online I could play that right now.
So there you go. So it's it's a lot of fun. I mean, the Braveheart character is like super OP. Like, you
Yeah.
got to keep him alive because he's really good. You don't want to get him trapped and have him die, but it's fun. It's
And
good.
Seki's on Yukata as well. You can play that on there.
Oh, okay, cool.
And what is the one that GMT is coming out with, or the designer maybe is designing another like
Oh, yeah,
2-player
that's-
game like that? Do you remember?
I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, there's like basically like the spiritual successor to Sekigahara.
Right.
Oh yeah. I have it P500, but I can't think of the name of it is off the top of my head. So I'll look and check and let everybody know before the end of this. So,
Yeah.
because that one looks really, really cool. So
Sounds good to me.
people, you don't have any comments on this.
They've all just glazed over. And, I want to preface this. Chad actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you think I could talk about an H&XX game? Is your audience okay with that?" I'm okay with it, but
Well,
I didn't ask anything. I just said, "This is what I'm talking about."
yeah. Tune into our next episode where the very beginning is Chad talking about
H&XX.
hey, I am the H&XX rep of the table.
There you go.
We'll start our own. That's it.
Right.
All right, Richie.
Yeah.
Let's go on to you with your second pick.
All right, so my second pick is Regicide. So if you don't listen to the show, I love card games. I grew up playing cards, euchre, tonk, different things like that. So I'm always on the lookout for just any type of small card game. And Regicide is a cooperative game. Plays 1 to 4, and you can actually just play it with a standard 52 deck. So if you got that at home, you just go to BGG, get the rules. But they do have this deck that you can purchase. It's like $15, something like that. So if you like the art, obviously go out and get it, or if you just want to support the designers. But in this game, you're going to create what they call the court deck, and that's going to be all the face cards. And you'll put it where the kings are at the bottom and then the jacks are on top. So you're going to fight the jacks first. And in this game, you're trying to defeat all of the face cards. And the cool thing in this is that all of the suits have a different power. So the way that it will work, and you can kind of see in this picture where you'll turn up the top of the court deck, and it's going to be one of the jacks to start the game. And in this one, depending on what suit is played, you're going to have a special power that will go along with it. So at the beginning of your turn, you'll play down a card. The value of it is what type of damage that you're doing towards the face card that you're fighting. And then just depending on the suit, like if it's clubs are double damage. So if you play the club, it will give you double damage. If you play a spade, it will give you protection. So you can also see that card that is showing the jack, queen, king. So the jacks have a health of 20 and they do 10 damage. So after you play the card and you activate the suit's power, then you're going to assess, one, did you kill them? If you didn't, then you go and you will take damage. So you're going to take 10 damage and you're going to have to discard that out of your hand. So if you had that hand that's showing there, then you could discard that 7 and the 3, or you can discard whatever combination that you want as long as it is at least 10 value. You can go over that because sometimes there are cards that you want to keep in your hand that you don't want to get rid of. So you may get rid of something else. The hearts allow you, because as you are discarding these cards, they'll go into a discard pile. You can get cards back out of that and put it back into what they call your tavern deck, which is what you draw from. And then the diamonds just allow you to draw cards from your tavern deck. And hopefully when you kill, because you'll play that card, you'll activate the suit power, and then the next player will go as long as you didn't die. If you died, so if you had to discard damage equal to whatever damage you're taking and you can't discard that amount, then you're out and you're dead and you lose. And then it will go to the next player and they'll play their card and they're adding on to the value that you've already put out there. So you're trying to work together. You can't discuss the cards that are in your hand, but you're working together, trying to kill those face cards. And hopefully you kill them with an exact number. So if you are facing the jack, you want to kill it with it hitting 20 exactly. So when you do that, you get to take that jack and put it on top of your tavern deck. You can then pull that into your hand, and now you can use that against them. The only other thing that kind of will mess you up is that whatever suit is showing, so in that case, the clubs have no power while that one's out there, and you'll go through that and you're just trying to kill them all. And as you can see with that card, they get stronger and they do more damage as you go along. But it's a clever little game, especially just with a standard 52 deck. Definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, I played this last year, and I absolutely love this game.
It's a good little card game for like 15-20 minutes. You want to bust out. I've been playing with Jessica, my wife. Yeah, we've been enjoying it.
Love the art on those cards.
Yeah,
when last year when it was out, I didn't actually get Regicide because it just was out of print everywhere. You know? But this deck I have, this is like a music deck, and what's cool is they have all different like music artists.
Oh, nice!
As different stuff. So there's like the spades are all the rock and roll suits. The heart is pop. This is folk and country. That's Lead Belly right there. And then I have Blue Soul as an R&B for the clubs. So it's really cool because it was partly like oh, who we're gonna take out now, and you're kind of also guessing as to what musician. You know, I'm a big Prince fan, so I had to go for this one first.
Nice.
You know, for sure.
Sweet.
You know, King of Rock. That's supposed to be Elvis. I don't know why he has like a ascot over there. But...
Yeah, I feel bad. I have all these standard decks and they never get touched. So it's nice when a game like this comes along where you can bust it out. So
and what's good, you can go to someone's house and like we could play it. You know. Yeah. Have you guys tried Regicide at all too? Chef for Clef?
Nope.
No, he just I mean, like when we were recording tonight, he just brought it up and was talking about it. And I was like, I've heard a lot about this, but now, it's cool to see in depth exactly what it is. And now it makes me want to try it because I mean, we all have most of us have a deck of cards at home. So
yeah, that's the great thing about it. Yeah.
It's got a solo mode.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how I played it first. I heard about it and I'm like, oh, is it soloable? And it sure enough was. So I'm like, okay, let's try it out. So Drew commented, by the way, he said that I couldn't comment on Cube Games Clef because I never played one. Interested though, and this game, Richie, I wanted to try and forget what the name of it was. So Regicide. Did you find out the Sekigahara sequel?
I did. It is Bear Trap. It is the Soviet Afghan war from 79 to 89. Right. So it looks really good. However, it has not reached its P500 yet. It's like at about 450. So we need to start talking that up so people. Yeah,
there you go.
There's more people on there.
You two need to go do that right now.
Well, you already did it, so
right.
All right, I'll bring in my last pick. So this is a Punchboard favorite.
Yeah.
That I just haven't played, and it was on Board Game Arena of all places, and I mentioned it in the chat. And Clef, you don't do async board gaming at all.
No, it's not my favorite. Yeah,
but you asked to join when I mentioned that the game was Barrage.
Yeah.
Barrage is awesome. I'm awful at Barrage, but it's so fun.
Yeah.
It's very mean. It's very so how Barrage works is you are trying to conduct power through these conductors, which you see the little tall cylinder over there. And you're trying to pass that down into your power plant. You're passing down water from that conductor into your power plant. And you're going to score points based on what level conductor that is. So you would get 4 points for that for conductor, plus any bonuses or any detractors will affect that score. And then you can use that to fulfill contracts. Now, the thing about this game is that all the resources are on the board, similar to like brass, where the resources like the iron and the coal is on the board. The water is on the board, and this water is just everyone is after this water. Everyone is hungry and thirsty for this water, and they just want to take it out and take your water from you. This is Chad described this as I will drink your milkshake the game, there will be blood. And for sure that's exactly what it feels like, because you are just trying to take the water from other players. And also, if water is going down to a player's dam, if it's going down to a player's dam and in their reservoir, it belongs to them. But you could put dams in front of their dams to block their water from trickling down. And it's just so mean. It's so mean, but it's so good. I can't get mad because it's just like I would do the same thing if I was you.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, when I found out this game was on Board Game Arena, I'm like, let's do it. I just want to jump in and do this. I didn't even bother looking at the rules. I'm like, it's a Board Game Arena. I could just click around. And I did miserable in that game with Clef for sure.
Oh, well,
I did.
First move, like, you can obviously go to the free side or you can go to the pay money side, when that's taken.
Yeah.
He goes right to the pay money side.
Well,
the free side was
yeah, because it was red. The spots are red. I got excited.
Yeah.
So I've learned my lesson. Don't go to the red side, no matter if it's your favorite color.
I'll tell you what. The other thing that I do in that game, not just yell at people that take my water, but also yell at the little people that are on my construction wheel to work faster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that wheel is so great. And I love that about this game because your workers, they go out on this wheel, this like, cut in six kind of wheel, and you put down the workers in this wheel, you spin them around to indicate that they're working and they're doing things. But they stay there until they make it back to the top of your wheel. So you have to make 6 turns around this wheel for them to actually come back to you. So you're trying to rush that, but you're also very limited in your resources. You're limited in your workers, and everyone has these workers. It's just, it's just a combination of so many decisions. And not only that, there's everyone has different powers as well too, different ways to score. I just wanted to figure out how to play, and then now I'm trying to figure out like how to actually get there to win. I am doing better in my other games.
Are you still playing the base or did you do the advanced styles?
So I'm still doing the introductory game, but I do know, so there's introductory game where you get like of the base tiles, you also get an additional tile. So the wheel, how it works is you pick a tile of what building you want to build, and the base game comes with 1 tile for each and 1 just wild one that you could just use. But is it the advanced game or I forget the name of it, but anyways,
it's advanced.
Yeah. So in that game, you get to actually get different tiles. You could go to an action spot to get different tiles, so you could build different combos of things going on. And it's just, and so this game, I have a later edition of Barrage because I know it was trashed for a lot of Kickstarter, the things not lining up, and that's a very component heavy game. The water was a huge complaint. The newer water is just
that's that crap.
Yeah, that's the older water.
Barely pick it up.
Yeah. So but the newer water is pretty nice.
Yeah.
They hadn't done Kickstarter really, and it kind of showed, unfortunately.
Yeah. But you know what? I mean, but the art's great, and the theme works out well, and that and what's great about that too is that when you're taking that water, it just trickles down and it can further go along the stream. It's not like you just dissolve the water and dissipates. It continues to go down the stream to the other person's stuff. So you could kind of anticipate, okay, you're going to use that water. It's going to come down to me.
Until they build a conduit that pulls it to the other, to the other way.
But you can try to make it work for you and try to have it, where you use it and then you send it down to
it goes back to you again. And one of the people there's a power where you could do that consecutively, right? Where you could
when you've built your third power conduit thing, you can do that. So
and they just the Anunnaki Kickstarter had it where you can add on the 2 to 3 player map, which they're going to be releasing, I think, later this year, maybe next year.
Is that the Nile one?
Yes. Yeah. So the Nile, and then they had some other promo stuff in there for Barrage as well.
I'm pretty sure they said that's going to come out this year, didn't they? I
think so. I think it was
all
going to be this year.
Early,
I think they said that will hit retail eventually. The map will. So
I remember being at I think it was either Gen Con or Origins, and I remember going to the Cranio booth when they were first just demoing it, and I remember them there going, "This is the best Simone Luciani game. It's his best game ever." And I was like, at the time, I was like, "Come on, you got Lorenzo and Newton, all these great titles." And they were right. I mean, this
Yeah.
is absolutely the best one.
I honestly think, I mean, we've talked about it a lot, but I honestly felt like this was one of the best design games of the last few years. Just
Yeah.
such
Yeah,
solid
definitely.
design.
I could see that for sure. I mean, I could see this. For the Punchboard, you guys have your own rating system where 1 is a complete trash game, all the way up to 6, which is a game that can be in your top 10. And if I had to go this on my Punchboard scale, it's got to be high 5 right now. It's got to be high 5. I could see it, after more plays.
Sure.
And by the way, this chat is exploding now with Barrage talk. So first of all, our family plays games in the chat.
Hey, how's it going?
I think they are from Omaha.
Yeah.
So Drew was asking if the BGA implementation is good. Ryan Clements said that the implementation is so fantastic and has such a great fan base that it's already in beta, and that's true. It's already in beta as of today. And I have my copy. I haven't played it in person yet. I haven't done the solo mode. I know there's a solo mode, but I haven't heard favorable things about the solo mode.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Right.
It's now that it's on BGA, I don't see me ever trying to do solo again.
Yeah, like why bother? And Drew said it's a top 10 for him for sure.
Nice.
Yeah. Good game.
But yeah, Barrage.
Mhm.
Barrage
Good
is
pick.
magical. That
Yes.
game is magical.
That was well, and we just in our last podcast we did a draft of games that we should have played by now. So you already got one of yours played.
That was me.
Like amazing time.
That was me. And by the way, all 3 of you had a game in there that I would love for you guys to play. So Chad, of course, El Grande is like my favorite area control game.
Yeah.
Like it's the area control game for me. Like,
Okay.
everything compares to it. And it's in my top 10, so it's a 6.
Okay.
All right.
Definitely play it.
I gotta get it.
Clef, Galaxy Trucker, I absolutely adore. I think you're gonna hate it, but I really love it. It's you have to be prepared. So the game is it's not whoever has the most money at the end wins. It's if you have $1 or more, you win. Because it's very wild. It's very wild. You kind of have to just like go in there and know that things are going to happen and your ship will probably be destroyed in little pieces, and it's hilarious when it happens. And Richie, Mage Knight is I love Mage Knight. I love Mage Knight. If you do solo, especially, Mage Knight is absolutely worth it for sure.
Okay, I just need to pull the trigger on it.
Have you ever played it at 2, Ryan?
I have. I've taught people at 2. So I've done I've never done the full game at 2, but I've used it to teach people how to play. And I've done Star Trek Frontiers a lot too. That was on my 10x10 last year. And that game was great too. So Star Trek Frontiers is the reskin of Mage Knight, but with a Star Trek theme. And then they have like the Wrath of Khan as an expansion. So yeah,
Cool.
It was pretty fun, And so Barrows, he's co-conductor on the channel, and I do think you're going to love Barrage. It is deliciously mean, is how I would describe it.
Yes.
Totally.
So I do want to talk about before I let you guys go. And our Family Plays Games is in the chat, and they're actually going to be on the table next month. So I'm really excited about that. They're going to be here. We'll be talking about
good
games
peoples.
with them. Yeah. So I'm excited for that for sure. I never interacted with our Family Plays Games. I just watched them,
They're great. I mean, I already mentioned how I let Mick beat me last night in Carnegie.
Oh, that was so nice.
Yeah,
of you.
it was.
Yeah. You're so generous. Good job.
Yeah. What can I say?
But this has been great. Like I said, fan before anything. Full disclosure, Patreon supporter as well.
We
appreciate no inference in this.
Yeah.
No, we get it. We get it. It's we just feel really lucky because what makes the podcast so fun, what keeps us doing it is the community. It really is. And we just have such a great punch bunch. I mean, all these people that are saying hi and stuff. I mean, we just had our first convention this last May, and just to get to, it was so important and so I don't know, moving for me to get to meet everybody. It's just really good people, really good people.
That's such a milestone. Like that's so crazy. Yeah. So tell me about PPCon. Like it started out just like a crazy idea, and where did it go? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just decided we were going to do it. I don't know why. We're going to do it, and I just started working at it. And I knew I had. Omaha is such a great community of gamers. We've got a lot of people here that are big just big gamers in general. So it was kind of a no-brainer once I started talking to them, and a lot of them were like, yeah, let's do it. And we've got a couple of great cons here. We got one that's in Lincoln, Great Plains Game Festival. We have a couple that are in Omaha, but we certainly thought we could put our own twist on it. And what a lot of people have said about the con was it was more of a just getting together with friends and playing games all weekend than it was a con, because it was just such a good community, and everybody there was so, willing to teach games when they could. And we had a lot of fun, and it was just a lot of great gameplay. And we were kind of in this retreat center. So it was like we were all together in the same building, and it was all our building. Like there was nobody else there. And we were just in these rooms, and we just got to interact with everybody. We got to go and eat food at the kind of the mess hall together. And it was just a great community, and just one of the greatest times of my life. So
it was really nice. I loved that we, it sounds silly, but I love that we all broke for me, like, cause meals got served. So you all just stood up. So unlike a regular con, it's like, we quit playing the games, but we still were with each other and talking and interacting, which again, like that's one of the reasons I got into gaming, because that's my social outlet. And so like just to be able to sit and share food together and just talk it was great.
Yeah. And you know what? I'll give everybody on this chat a scoop right now. It's not been released yet anywhere else, but we have secured the dates for PPCon 2023, and it will be May 4th through the 7th. So this is a scoop right here for you guys.
I'm getting ready already. I'm getting babysitters and all that organized already.
Whatever you need, man. I'll be excited to see you.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. So
that would be fun. Yeah.
For sure.
This has been great. So and by the way, so you do have a Slack channel as well, and that's and the Slack channel is great. And I believe I was member 100. I believe I was 100.
Oh,
yeah.
I believe I was 100.
Oh, cool.
So I'm happy to to interact with you guys, and it's just great. You met a bunch of people, a lot of people you talk about on the podcast too, like Joe Farrell. I've been playing a bunch of games with him.
Yep, sure.
I'm taking really slow turns in Twilight Struggle against him, and I feel really bad.
But, that's good. No, draw it out. Draw it out.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing. Like I said, we're on the podcast, but like it's so much about the Punch Bunch, so it's great.
Yeah, I wouldn't be doing this with you two if it wasn't for the Punch Bunch.
All right. So where can everyone find you? Where's the podcast listed, and where do you get your metrics?
Well, if
you want us to listen to,
if you want to get yes, exactly. Well, our site is basically through SoundCloud, but we're on most of the Apple and all the places that you would normally listen. But
is it on MySpace? Can they get us on MySpace?
No.
Okay.
No,
bringing it back.
MySpace is up. Yeah. Yeah. So not on MySpace, but we're on Twitter at Punchboard Paradise. We are at Punchboard Borders, I think it is. But then you can get us punchboardparadise@gmail.com, and that's how you could get on the Slack. We've got Guild 3227 if you're on Board Game Geek. So if you go to Board Game Geek, we're at that guild, and that's fun too, because we have that's where usually people post when we say, hey, we reviewed this game a year ago, what are your thoughts on it? And we'll usually read some of that off on the show. So those are a variety of ways. We got an Instagram account and
the
Facebook.
polls for the drafts too are there too, which is always fun.
Yes,
you guys do really fun drafts. So I voted for for Clef on this one, but I don't think you're winning that one.
He
I'm
needs
sorry.
the help.
He's
Yeah.
not winning.
I'm
He's
losing right now.
not.
so-
He's not winning.
But this has been great. Thank you again for
Thanks
so
for
much for
having us,
joining.
Yeah.
And that ends our On the Table. So we'll see you again next month for another On the Table. And I think we're gonna do a call aboard episode. We do like a call-in show where anyone could jump in
nice.
Oh,
where
nice.
you guys are.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Even you
I like
guys
it.
can join in if you want to.
Oh,
Very
cool. I like it.
I think we're doing that in 2 weeks from now. So
All right.
we'll post it when we post it. But anyways,
All right.
take
Thanks,
care,
everybody.
everyone.
Thanks so much. Take care.